You you have manners. You know how to greet people. You know how to walk up in a room.
Yeah, look, for the most part. I have a bit of home training.
So sometimes we let it show. Sometimes we let it show.
Sometimes and then other times it's I don't care.
Hey,
I don't
mom
care.
don't look. Mom don't look. Mom don't listen. Well, here at the Unspoken Truth, we give you the real strategy behind real growth for your coaching business, and we want your business to last. We want you to build something that's sustainable. So here in every episode, you're always going to hear the truth, and it's always going to be unfiltered. All right, so today's topic, we're getting into it. We're going to get deep. So if you're listening on one of the platforms for podcasts, if you're watching us on YouTube, whether live or you're watching at a future date, get your pen, get your piece of paper, grab you something to drink, like what we got, because this is going to get deep. This is going to get deep. Um, So, if you're watching us, please remember to subscribe. Please remember to like, comment, share. We want more of you to come into the room and pull yourself a chair up to the table and be engaged in the conversation. And we want you to get all the notifications for when we go live. We go live
Absolutely.
often.
Yes.
So this is not like once in a blue moon.
Yes.
So, so yeah, we want to make sure you get all the notifications. So make sure you do that. So, like I said, we're talking about your identity and how that plays into your business growth and if it's actually holding you back. So, before we get into if it is, if it isn't, and all that other good stuff, let's lay the foundation and get clear, get on the same page of what identity actually mean in this conversation. Okay? So, as your strategist, identity to me is how you decide to operate whenever you're making business decisions. It's like the driving force of decision making or what's guiding you to make decisions. It's not your brand, it's not necessarily your personality, and it's really not your values in a certain way. It's who you believe you are whenever you are running your business. So, whenever you, in your mind, step up to make a business decision, who is that person? Is that person confident? If is that person believing in themselves as not only a coach, but as a business owner. So that person makes the prices. That person shows up in how you lead. That person shows up whenever there's team dissension or whenever you trying to cultivate a morale within your business. How do you step up and lead? That person that you believe yourself to be, that's the identity that we're talking about. So before I can show up as your strategist and cultivate a strategy into how your business is going to show up in this landscape. We need to know who we're dealing with. Who is the person coming to the table? Because if we're having to like pump you up and believe in you, and that's going to take more time than, hey, I'm ready. Who I need to call? Who I need to, talk to? Who I need to send an email to? What do I need to do? Those are two totally different people. Now, for you, Kina, what does identity mean? Or how are you approaching this?
So when I think of identity, we had a conversation probably several times about how in the beginning of our journeys, at least in the beginning of my journey, there was this thing where you had to keep personal stuff from the business that you were building. So the personal side of you had to be separate from the business side of you.
Mm-hmm.
And even then I was like, but how? How am I
Mm-hmm.
going to take off my funny self, my loving self? Because this was me at the time. I was I am a lover in the sense that I love on people. I approach things from both a tactical perspective as well as an emotional perspective. And so then it was like, you can't put love in no business. Business
Mm-hmm.
is about finance and legal and did like no emotions don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And today I tell you that I can tell you like confidently that's a lie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We do have different versions of ourselves, and whether or not you want to admit that, that's a conversation for another episode. But we do show up different in different environments. So when it comes to being a family, with your family you show up a certain way, with your friends you show up a certain way, when you are looking at your business you show up another way. And so to Jay's point, what, as your team, so let's just pretend we're your team, as your team, how are we seeing you? How are you showing up in front of us? Are you that confident person that can make decisions, and or do you need a lot of poking? Are you the type that today it's one thing, tomorrow you have a whole new idea and we done scrapped the whole situation that we were building?
Mm-hmm.
um is are you the type that no one can tell you anything? You have a team, but the people that you hire, you don't trust them enough to take their advice. Are you, as Jay and I like to call that, alpha female, alpha male in some cases, where it's difficult to get you to see another perspective. And with each one of those identities, there are limitations and there are expansion pieces to it. And so, for me, it's really saying from not only a real life, but how are you showing up? How are you showing up in your business day in and day out? And is that helping you? Is the way you're showing up helping or hurting your business? So that's the approach that I'm coming from.
I hear you with that because it's hard to separate yourself because you are one being,
Mm-hmm.
and all the things that you are connected. Even like for example, whenever you date, they say you don't, whenever you first meet a person, you don't date the real person, you date
At
their
all.
representative.
Yes.
But in order for that person to have a representative, that layer has to exist in them somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it could be 10%, it could be 5% of who they are, it could be 90% of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But that layer of that person is in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, however you decide to show up in your business, that lack of confidence, that fear, that hesitancy, those things you may say, well, I don't have that. That's not me. I'm a confident person, but not everywhere.
Right. Right.
We've had clients who are confident coaches, who can get up in front of thousands and like
Absolutely.
command a room, but you ask them to get in front of a camera that's connected to their phone,
And now they
and
hide.
then they're like, "Oh, I can't do this. I can't. Oh, oh my goodness." And it's like, "Okay, but your goal is to expand here. This aspect of your identity is capping that. It is stopping you from growing." So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how identity limits or expands your capacity of as a coach and as a business owner.
Yeah, so I think I did started going into that about the limitations. You can basically put yourself in a box where you are assuming that as a CEO, you need to show up this way versus as a coach, you need to show up this way. And to me that's a limitation. To me that's like you're not giving the person, regardless of what title you have on in that moment, you're not giving the person everything that they need. You're not showing up fully as yourself. And so for me, when I think about CEO, a coach that's also the CEO, which is not 9 times out of 10, that's the case. You got to show up powerfully anyway, either way. As the CEO, obviously, for you to have and maintain your business, you have to show up, in a powerful way. But as a coach, you also need to show up in a powerful way because the person that is in front of you is expecting the best from you. They're looking for demonstration of what you're telling them to do. So if, to Jay's point, I'm telling you, and Jay, we've been around the block a few times where you have a coach or a coaching program, and the program is telling the client to do this, this, and this, to get in front of a camera and record. And yet the CEO coach can't do it or won't do it. And it's that's a conflict. So this whole expansion, from like the thing about us being able to expand, when we take on these roles as the coach and ultimately as the CEO, the word expansion should be a part of your vocabulary. Every single day you should be in a space where you're uncomfortable getting in front of the camera, uncomfortable talking to a client that you think is out of your league, uncomfortable telling the client, like, what, this service is not going to work. The thing that you're trying to offer is not going to work. Why is it not going to work? And you let them know. But I think but many times when we try to put ourselves in the box of one or the other, we unintentionally limit ourselves, which then impacts the business, which then impacts the clients that we work with. And matter of fact, I'm gonna say this too, it'll impact you because after a while, you'll start believing the commentary that's going on in your head, which is a limitation and not allowing you to expand into the person that you want to be. Jay, you mentioned a minute ago about how the representative, yeah, that representative is showing up for one or two reasons. One, because that's who you really want to be. That's how you really want to show up. But then your true self starts to creep out a little bit, and we start to see that you're not confident. The other reason that the representatives show up is because that's all you know. That's all I know. And I'm not willing to do anything outside of what I know. And so either one of those is a limitation and potentially hurtful, for not only the maintenance of your business, but your ability to grow said business.
Speak the truth. I feel like speak that truth. Uh, and regarding seal limitations, it also determines what you tolerate.
Yes.
It determines what type of behavior inside of your business you normalize. You're creating a culture, even if it's just you and your VA, you and your OBM, even if it's just you and you're doing all the things. Your business, once you step into your office, once you open up your laptop, once you pick up your phone and start doing business, you have entered your virtual office. And even if you normalize working at dinner, what is that saying about the mindset that you're creating about your business? Are you a person who's like, okay, I separate my personal life, meaning whenever it's time with the husband and the kids, or my partner and whatever else, that's that time. This is that time. How do you how do you structure that? And because how you structure that, not only in your mind, whenever you bring on team members, whenever you expand your business, that's not going to change because you have normalized it.
Yep.
You have said, okay, look, don't call me on the weekends because that's for my family. Don't call me or don't email me or don't do this after 5 p.m. I'm not available. So, whatever activity you normalize, that speaks to your identity or the identity that you're creating. So, if you're uncomfortable with what you're pricing your coaching package, you're going to over explain it. You're going to over explain the pricing. You're going to over deliver because you don't think that what you've created is good enough.
Yep.
You're going to avoid necessary conversations and decisions because you want to keep the peace. You don't want to have those tough calls. You don't want to have to fire a team member. You don't want to have to fire a client. So, all of that deals with your capacity to show up. It all of that contributes to your capacity to lead, to coach. If you're busy trying to contain all of this and you don't feel confident in how you run your business and who you are as a coach, how you show up as a leader, if you're not confident in those things, or if you don't believe it, then that's really going to, as Keenan was explaining, put you in a box. And that box, how are you going to expand the box? How are you going to do that? So the capacity to add more things in there, to add more team members, to increase your pricing, to go from maybe one-on-one coaching to group coaching or vice versa. You've put yourself here. So your capacity to handle more, to grow, isn't there. So that's where you get the I'm frustrated, I'm burnt out, I don't know what to do. You get in that headspace and in that area because who you've decided to show up as in your business has limited you. So you don't have any room for anything else. You don't have
Yep.
any room for a structure. You don't have
Yep.
any room for a strategy. So whenever I come in there and I'm like, boom, 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 you're like, whoa, Jay, okay, my head hurt. I can't. I can't. I can't. I have no room for that.
Yeah.
And then we have to bring on Keena and be like, okay, see, you need to get your head right. She need to be the person you talk to. Keena handle that, and then I'll step in with the strategy. So how we're a perfect duo? But since we're talking about the mindset, let's talk about the difference between a CEO mindset and a coaching mindset, because you need to have both of them. If you are a business owner, I'm not talking about, and let me explain this before I turn this over to you, Kina. Whenever we talk about CEO, we're not like, oh, you have to have a corporation. You have to have a CMO. You have to have a COO. You have to have a CFO. No. Whenever whenever you become a business owner, there are decisions you have to make. And those are the decisions that make and break your business. And that stuff is on the CEO level. So even if you are a business owner of one, you're making executive decisions. Whenever you look at your budget, you look at your finances, what can you afford? What platforms? Can you hire a VA? Can you hire a marketer? Uh, Whatever that is, you're operating as a CFO. So you don't have to have a legal entity, um, like a corporation. You could have a sole prop. So how that's organized legally, we're not operating there. We're not talking about that. We're talking about how you make the decisions as the person where the buck stops. It
Yep.
stops with you. So now that I've cleared that up. So so now they know that they have a CEO mindset and they have a coach mindset. Let's clarify that from a coach's perspective, Kina.
Yes. So here, so if you've been listening and really picking up what we've been putting down, part of what we're saying, or one of the things that we're saying is this is can be exhausting. Because, and when I say exhausting, to switch on a daily basis, maybe even a moment to moment basis from the CEO to the coach, it's not easy. Why is it not easy? This, as a CEO, you have to be decisive. Like, we're thinking, what's the goal? What 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 direction are we going? What decisions have to be made for us to meet our revenue goals for the year? How am what am I where am I investing my time? Where am I investing my money, my people? That's the CEO is thinking like that. As a coach, you're like, okay, I need to develop I need to develop this person. Oh, I need to develop this area. I need to I need to work on my confidence, my team's confidence, my client's confidence. It's more, I know we talk about soft and hard skills, but for me, a CEO has those hard skills, those skills where it's like, if we don't do it, we won't have a business. A
Mhm.
coach is more like, okay, we need to massage this. We need to develop. We need to figure out what things we need to put together in order to make this work. So you're more gentle with everything that's happening. And so that's exhausting. It's also why you'll hear Jay say, I can't be no coach. I don't have time for that mushy stuff. I really don't. You either have it or you don't, and that's a CEO. A CEO is like, what are we doing? What's the big picture? Yes, a coach is going to ask you these things. A coach is going to think about these things, but it's more about developing. So if you think CEO mindset, you own it. You're owning everything. You're owning decisions. You're owning the business. You're owning you're owning it. As a coach, you're developing two different parts of you. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, as a coach, you got to have both of them. Unless you decide to hire somebody like a me or Jay that's going to just run it all, but no, that's going to cost some money. So, back to the question at hand, Again, the difference between the CEO mindset is you're all about owning all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Mhm.
As a coach, the coach mindset, it's about the developing. And I almost got a little soft there when I said it. It's like, oh, I'm here to rub your back. I'm here to make sure you're good. CEO's like, no, what are we doing?
So you
And
can see
pause.
how I leave my business. I'm like, okay, let's get into the facts. Let's get into the figures. Let's get into the hard core evidence of it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so I couldn't have said it any better. I think as a CEO, you're looking at the the baseline.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to look at if you're, for example, if you're if you're looking at your business and you're not getting any clients, the coach freaks out.
Mm-hmm.
The coach part of you freaks out and is like, I don't have any clients. I'm putting all this money out. I have a V, I have a social media marketer, or I have a digital marketer. I'm doing ads, I'm doing this, and and you're stressed out.
Yes.
CEO doesn't have time to stress out. They don't.
At all. At all.
Because the CEO is here, the coach is here. The coach is here. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever it's the vision, people think that lies up in here. No, because it's visual. No, it's in here. How I desire to live, the impact I want to make, how I see my life being with my family. That's all touchy feely heart stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that's great. I'm not saying one or the other is a bad thing because you need a balance in
Mm-hmm.
order to operate. But when it's time to for your business to operate, it's here.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you have your team meetings, it's here. Whenever you're talking about strategy, it's here. So, whenever you don't have clients that are coming in or signing up for or attending or whatever the case is, if you feel yourself freaking out, I'm operating from my coach mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Now I need to turn it over to my CEO mindset. What systems are failing?
Mm-hmm.
Why why is this happening? Why does this require me to step in, or do I need to, you know, have a separate conversation with my marketing team or those who are marketing? Okay, so there's no cohesion between my co-coaches in my coaching program. So I need to come in and maybe have a team building exercise so that there's cohesion there. So you start operating from that area. So whenever you're looking to go from, because remember, we have four different stages of your business. So you have your build, strengthen, grow, scale. To get to the next one, that's expansion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I have coaches that tell me this once we identify, well, you're in the build phase. They're like, so Jay, after some time, they're like, so Jay, when do I get into the strengthen phase? When am I there? And I'm like, okay, by you asking me that question, you're not ready because it's here. Because I want to be able to do this and I want to be able to do that. And I see myself. It's not, okay, Jay, how do we expand? What's the next part of our strategy? What's the Okay, so we've hit this milestone. So what's the next milestone? So how do we it's not that. So those are key indicators of where you're operating and how you're showing up and how you're making decisions in your business. Are you doing it from the CEO mindset or from the coach mindset? So let's get into how you actually operate within your business. And this is where I come in. Operating from structure and not from stress. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're productive. Let me say it again for the people in the back. Just because you're busy, it does not mean that you're productive. So you could be doing a whole bunch of stuff, creating, you could be going hard as a mug in Canva, creating different templates, and you're downloading this and you're buying that and you're signing up for this course and you're following this coach and you're posting here and you're posting there and you're doing all the things. But that does not mean that what you're doing is actually contributing to the expansion of your business. That doesn't mean that you're making CEO decisions. So, whenever you're feeling that stress, whenever you're feeling like, okay, clients are not coming in, or I have to show up here, I'm not comfortable with that, I'm overwhelmed, I'm burnt out, I need a break, I need, when you're feeling that, then that means there's no structure there. There's no strategy there. So strategy and structure creates a consistency that doesn't lead to burnout. It creates a stability without you overworking. It creates that space for you to be creative as a coach, to come up with new ideas to enhance your program, or different products to create, or uh, to follow and engage with coaches that you've been wanting to. It That structure in your business gives you freedom to be able to pull away, to be able to do that, because you have peace of mind knowing that your business can still function without you being there every day. So while this is going on, your business is functioning, you don't have to also worry about what's going on with your team, because you have processes in place to help this engine run without you having to steer the vehicle. You have things that are documented that people can go back to and reflect. So whenever I was talking about where there's no cohesion in your team, if you have structure,
You
there
have
will be.
cohesion. Yep.
If
Yep.
you're thinking that, okay, when I was talking about being a coach who wants to separate your business from your personal life, so on the weekend you don't want to be contacted after 5, you don't want to answer emails and things like that. Have you told your team that? Or is that implied? Like, you should get that. You should know. You should know not to email me
I
at
can't
two
stand when
o'clock
people
in the
say that.
morning.
I can't stand when people say that. What you mean I should know? When, I'm not in your head. Last time I checked, I'm in my own head. I'm not in yours. So how should I know that?
Exactly. It's like these things need to, whenever I set up my client's business, I use Asana. It's easy regardless of your tech level and comfortability. It's easy to navigate and learn. So that's why I use that one. But in whenever I set up their business, I set up a space for them to put their office hours, the holidays, their vacation days for every year, what their goals are, what the milestones are for that year, what's the strategy for that year, their title, their tagline, their philosophy, their mission. I lay that all there so it's there for the team to and the coach to go back and refer to so you know what this business is. And there's cohesion. It's not here at the Unspoken Truth. We always give you the truth and it's always unfiltered. Now, if I come back and I say, well, we give you our side of things and maybe give you a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Well, that's not the unspoken truth. That doesn't really align with what's been going on. Or if my team shows up and I ask them, okay, so I need you to represent us. And they're like, okay, so how do I do that? What verbiage do I use? How do I refer to this business owner? Does she like to be called a coach? And if you know me, you know.
No, call
No,
me that.
ain't no coach. you
Don't
know?
call me that.
So if my team doesn't know that about the culture that I've created or the structure that I've created within my business, then where are we?
Yep. Yep.
So that's how I approach it as your strategist when I come in there. I make sure that everybody is on the same side, they're on the same level. Everybody is cohesive. Everybody know what they're doing, including you, know what they're doing, and then you can go ahead and have that step back. You could go ahead and go to those networking events or go on vacation for 2 weeks and not have to work. Then you can do that. But from the coaching level, Kyna, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. So, how can they embody the next version of themselves? How can they grow if they're like, okay, I see I'm operating from the coach mindset. I need to I need to develop the CEO mindset. I need to
Yes.
develop that identity. How do they do that? How do they go to the next level?
So one is defining what that looks like. So, okay, you want to have more of a CEO mindset. What does that mean? So not only what does that mean, but what does it look like? Give yourself real life examples of I'm getting ready to meet maybe a potential client that I'm a little afraid of. How do I want to show up? I'm getting ready to go to a networking event. How do I want to show up to this networking event? So you have to define how you want to show up. And I would say that for anything. If you're like, I want this journey to become a better version of myself, and I've said this a lot of times because I'm on a journey to become a better version of myself. And I say that every single day because I want to be better than I was yesterday. What does that mean? That means I want to be able to pause because this is personal, Kyna. I want to be able to pause long enough and not react to certain situations. Because I have the tendency to say somebody asks something and I'm like, I either say yes when I really need to say no, or I'm giving an answer and I'm not really thinking about, okay, I haven't given myself enough time to think. So you got to define what that looks like for you. Um, Number two, we got to get out of motivation. Like at this point, You don't need to be motivated to do. You shouldn't need to be motivated to do anything, because
I
you
got bills. I'm motivated enough.
like. So I'm gonna be. I have an app that I listen to. It's called the Motivation app. Actually, I get a quote every single day, and at this point, it's noise. Because I no longer need motivation to get up and do the things that I want to do. I no longer need the motivation to say and talk and have the conversations that I need to have. I don't need that motivation anymore. So you got to shift from being motivated to to number one. This is who I am. Period. This is what I'm going to do. Period. No, not less of giving yourself the ability to back out and more of who am I and how am I showing up in each situation.
Mm.
I have about five of them, but I'm just going to give you three.
And if you want the other two, what you can do is click the link in the description box.
Yes. um. So the other thing is you gotta speak like you trust yourself. What
Mm.
does that mean? And if you have been around me, I may have said this in an episode or two. Another thing that burns me up is when people say, "I'm trying, I'm trying,
Mm.
I'm trying." No, ma'am, do it. You're doing, especially those people who are actually taking action. So that word "trying" for me is one that a CEO doesn't say. A
That's like
C
a Yoda, do or not do. There
Yes,
is no try.
yes. There is no trying. You're doing. You're making decisions. I'm not trying. I've decided that. I'm not trying. I am doing this. I'm not trying. I have done this. I have started this. So you got to speak like you trust yourself.
Mhm.
And if not, people like me will say, "Hey, what's going on up here?" Because you're not really showing up in a way that it says on paper. So I
Mhm.
need you to get out of the wishy washy, because I'm gonna call it what it is. Trying to me is wishy washy. It gives you the ability to not do what you said you're gonna do. Because I
Mhm.
mean, I I can try to build a website. How about I just do it? As a CEO, you're doing it. Okay, so
Mhm.
speak like you trust yourself. Um, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Like I said, the other two could will take us over our time.
Well, let me ask you this real quick. You were talking about not needing motivation.
Hmm.
So, as a coach, if you're not providing that motivation, how should they see you in partnering with you in order to make that shift?
So, so repeat your question, because when I think about motivation, I'm thinking about the self, the
Mhm.
CEO, and them not needing motivation. So say your question one more time, Jay, so I can make sure I understand.
I was saying you were talking about not needing motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was wondering or asking you to expound how, as a coach,
Mm-hmm.
partnering with you, how do they get the guidance or the push to become that other identity? How do they get that, I guess, external motivation? Because now you were talking about the internal motivation. So are you saying more of an accountability partner to be like, okay, so you said that you're this type of coach, or you said this was the vision that you wanted. This is how to get it. Now, if it's changed, fine, but we need to be honest with how this has changed and who you're showing up as. Is
Yes,
that what you mean?
that's exactly so. So here's the thing. If we take inventory of who we are in this very moment, hopefully it's not you're not at the epitome of the version of you that you want to be. Hopefully you're not sitting there like, nah, this the best you gonna get. You're not getting no more. You're not getting nothing else out of me. So if you are in a space that you understand that you have some work to do, then that in itself is motivation, because I don't want to be the person that I was yesterday. I don't want to be the same person that I was a year ago. Um, the way that I work with people when they are struggling, I think I lost Jay, so I'm gonna keep talking. The way that I work with people who are struggling with the motivation that they need is really coaching them to, and I can do this right now, but why are you here? Why did you start this? And most of the time, the why hasn't been, is not deep enough for the person to continue to move forward. Um, so that's one thing. And sorry, a little thrown off because I don't see Jay, and I know Verizon had some issues, so I'm hoping that's not her case, or not the case here.
Oh,
So hold up. So it didn't record. It didn't record my answer.
I don't know.
I bet you it did because it was still recording.
Oh, it was still recording?
It was
Okay,
still
cool.
recording. It was still recording. So it's gonna be a gap where you're not there.
that's that's okay. That's all right.
Yes, but it was still what? Did you text me again, or is this just the other? Oh, it's just that. But yeah, it I recorded. Mm.
So that happened.
That happened. That happened, and we're all good.
Yeah. So,
You want to
uh,
officially wrap us up then?
yeah, I'm like, okay, how do I tie it up? Okay. Okay, so now I get it. I get it, Kina. Um, so now we've hit that mark. We're at the end of our podcast. So I just want to wrap everything up so that give you some clear takeaways. As the CEO of your business, take time to think about how you're showing up when it comes to decision making, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to accountability, when it comes to you really running your biz. How
Mhm.
do you step up? How do you show up as the CEO? Do you show up as the CEO or do you show up as the coach?
Hmm.
And at moments in your business, there is absolutely nothing wrong with you showing that coach side or coming with that coach mindset because there needs to be a balance.
Yep.
But you need to know when that CEO needs to show up and how essential it is, how critical it is in the growth of your business. If you want to get to that build, strengthen, grow, scale, if you want that scaling part, that $1 million, that six figures, whatever goal you have in mind, it takes you showing up as the CEO. So I hope that clarified a lot of things. Thank you all for showing up, for rocking with us. If you have any questions, there are plenty of links that are going to be down in the description box if you're watching us on YouTube. If you are listening to us on any of the podcast platforms, in the description, in our bio information, there's links. Go ahead and click them. You do not have to build your business and suffer in silence. You don't have to live in chaos. You really don't. You really don't. You don't have to. That's not the badge that you need to wear with honor as a CEO. Uh, there is help, and we're here to help you. So go ahead and click the link, and we'll be more than happy to step in and help you and give you all the tools you need so that you can scale your business. As always, thank you for rocking with us. You could have been doing anything else in the world, but you chose to spend this time with us, and we are forever grateful and thankful. Until next time, y'all. Bye.